The world is changing really fast. Sometimes it feels like it's too fast. How do you deal with it? Are you trying to start something new and you don't even know where to start? Well, let's do a reading and see what are some things that might help you deal with all of the changes that are going on in the world. Welcome back to Sweet Infinity. My name is Kieran, and today I will be reading from the original Rider Waite deck. I do a lot of readings from these amazing modern interpretations of this deck or of the deck's ideas and concepts. But I thought today I'd mix it up and just go old school and use the original deck. So I'm going to shuffle that. And while I shuffle, I hope that you can take a minute to subscribe to this channel right below the video and hit the like button. That's the thumbs up button. And leave me a comment if this is your first time. How did you find this video? And what kind of videos do you like when it comes to tarot readings and oracle readings? Because I'm still a small channel, but I'm growing and I would love to hear from you. Also, do you mostly use the Rider Waite deck? This is this deck. Or do you use other decks as well? I love a lot of different decks, so I'm just curious what kind of decks you use. So that's nice and shuffled. Let's ask some questions. I would like to talk about change. There's a lot of things that are changing in this world, and to be honest, it can be quite difficult to deal with change. And I don't know about you, but I have been dealing with a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and it's difficult sometimes even to put that aside to try to be, strong and come to an understanding of the bigger picture. I've been trying to do that for myself, for the people I love, for people who are relying on me. But it's perfectly okay to acknowledge the difficulty of the time period we're living in and the difficulty of trying to adjust to all the changes that are going on in the world. And so I want to do this reading for myself and for you. Let's see what we come up with together. Change is something that happens all the time. It's always in the air. Things are always changing. However, there are times when things are changing very drastically and other times when things are relatively stable, depending on which aspect of life you're talking about. So let's start with, what kind of changes are we dealing with right now? Let's see what the cards have to say. What kind of changes we're dealing with right now. Oof, 3 of Swords. That is about the breaking of the heart, the betrayal, a feeling, a deep sense of betrayal, loss. These 3 swords cutting the heart is basically the sense of a loss of trust, a loss of trust in others and a loss of trust in yourself even. So this is a very deeply wounded card. And that's interesting how that came up when we asked about what kind of change we're facing. This is the basis of our changes. Our hearts have been broken. We have lost a very basic sense of reality. That's what's happening. And I think a lot of people can relate. What else are we facing? 2 of Swords. So we've got a choice. We're facing stark choices, very difficult choices that are hard to even sort through. You see this character, she's blindfolded and she's holding these 2 swords. So what kind of blindfolded person has 2 swords, right? Because these are very difficult choices she's making and she doesn't have all of the information to make the choice, really. You can argue that her being blindfolded is symbolic of her not knowing which way to go. It's a difficult choice to make. Why is it so difficult? What's happening here? Stealth. Okay, so 7 of Swords. See, I picked it from a completely different section. I've got 7 of Swords. This is about secrecy. This is about hidden agendas, conspiracies, whatever you want to call it. This is about people who are manipulating things behind the scenes. That's what this is about. And that is really what's causing all of this mistrust, all of this chaos, all of this rot at the bottom of the system. There are definitely people who are manipulating, who are lying, who are omitting information, who are withholding and just, taking advantage of people's ignorance and then keeping them ignorant, right? So there's a lot of that. Meanwhile, we feel that we have so little information to go on. We don't know who to trust. There is such a lack of trust in society. I'm sure you can relate. I mean, wherever you are, you can feel, especially if you have some experience, if you are of a certain age, you remember where things were not as bad as they are now. And the lack of trust among people and everyday experiences, institutional breakdowns that we're seeing. We're seeing that here in these cards, okay? So let's keep going. What are all these changes really telling us? What are these changes teaching us? Strength. The Strength card is about inner strength. It's about conviction. It's about principles. It's about standing strong and having the inner conviction of getting to a point where you know exactly who you are. And I asked, what are these changes leading to? What are these changes teaching us? They're teaching us about who we are, and they're teaching us about who other people are. And it's a tumultuous time right now. I'm not going to deny it. I don't think anyone in their right minds can deny it. And yet, this is the card that comes up, which I think is about learning to get in touch with that part of us that is strong. And I don't mean just physically strong. I mean mentally strong, emotionally strong, spiritually strong. Knowing what our principles really are. No longer being disillusioned by whatever machinations and PR campaigns or whatever are going on, or psyops, however you want to call it. And knowing who we are and who each other are, who we are ourselves and who the other person that we are associating with are. Because all of this craziness that's going on, it's really clarifying things. You are now able to tell who is somebody that you might want to be around and who is somebody you do not want to be around, because of how they're processing the chaos that's out there, the changes that are happening, how they're processing the horrible things that we have been watching and hearing about in the news. The things that are going on are quite insane. And in a way, it's still teaching us how to get in touch with our inner strength. So, what other lesson do we need to learn from these changes? 7 of Cups. This is a card about wishful thinking. It's a card about having so many choices. It's a card about consumerism. It's a card about having this sort of hedonistic idea that everything should always be accessible. Everything should always be the way that we've gotten used to. And to be honest, it's a very unsustainable way of living, right? So while all these institutional breakdowns are happening and we are seeing a breakdown in social trust between people, social harmony, we are seeing that it's hard to even gauge and parse and discern which information we can trust and who is actually telling the truth. And we know that there are forces that are trying to create all kinds of manipulations and machinations behind the scenes who are hiding the truth from us, right? That's what this card is about, obscuring the truth. And then we know that we are still getting in touch with a strong part of ourselves. But another lesson to learn is to not give in to this idea that everything is a consumable item, that everything is supposed to just be something we buy and consume and discard. That's what I think this card is teaching. That's what this card is saying, is that the wishful thinking of thinking that everything that we had accessible to us at all times in the past, that that we can have fruits in the winter that are completely out of season for us, that we can have things at the very cheap, without thinking of where these things are coming from and who's making these products and how they're getting shipped and what kind of logistics are involved. That's a world that's very unsustainable. At the same time, this might also be saying that we cannot live in a world of illusion and daydreams and wishful thinking alone. I think a lot of people have a tendency to teach that we should just be living in a world where we are under a constant state of self-imposed illusion. And I think this card is really a reminder that there's more to life than just our illusion, that we are part of bigger systems, that we are part of neighborhoods, cities, communities, families, churches, organizations, religious and social groups. And countries and the human race itself, that we are part of larger things, and our individual hedonistic desire is not the only thing we should focus on. That's what I think this card is really about. And I've always thought that about this card. So that's an interesting lesson to learn. Sometimes the tarot teaches us a lesson that we need to learn, even if we don't want to learn it. And that's something to remember with all of these readings and any readings that you come across or do for yourself. So if we are learning about our inner strength and we shouldn't get lost in wishful thinking alone, what is it that we should be doing? Let's talk about how should we be dealing with these changes? What are the things we should be doing? Six of Swords. This is about leaving something behind what needs to be left behind. Basically, if it's not physical migration, it could be. It could also mean physically moving and leaving behind whatever system is not working, whatever place is not working. And if that's something that's in your purview, that's something that's in your vision, this card is encouraging you to do that. That it's not a bad idea to move somewhere, physically move somewhere that is more in line or in alignment with what you want to do and how you want to live and where you want to be. If that is something that's accessible to you, obviously, that it's not a bad idea to move. If you cannot move, or if that's not what is in your realm of possibility at this point, this is also about moving on and changing direction and letting go of what is no longer working. So if you see these people in boats, they could be refugees, they could be some kind of asylum seekers, and they're leaving because whatever was there in the back, that the things that they're leaving behind, it's done. They can't be there anymore. For one reason or another, they're done, they're leaving. So this is about either ending a bad relationship, ending a bad job or work situation, moving on and stepping into the next phase of life. That's what this card is saying. So I asked, what do we need to do in order to deal with these changes? And the card that showed up is about moving on, letting go, and either physically or in some way, physically moving or changing or mentally or psychologically moving on. How do we do this? How do we find the strength to let go, to move on, to let go of our illusions and our wishful thinking? Where do we find the strength? How do we motivate ourselves to take the steps we need to take? Because sometimes it can be so difficult to even take the steps, even if you know that these are the things you need to do. This is a card about insomnia, the Nine of Swords. A lot of swords. If you notice, we've got a lot of swords coming up, and that is because we are asking questions that have to do with how the mental state of ourselves and those who have created these issues in the world, these problems that we're witnessing, they're lost in their own head. So this card is about insomnia, nightmares. I asked, how do we find the strength to make these changes? And the card I got was deal with your insomnia. That's what it tells me. This is about find a way to get more sleep and don't let your daily routine be damaged by your stress. And I know that's difficult as somebody who has sleep issues, but what this card is saying is that you don't have to follow the routine that other people tell you to, but you do need to take care of your health. You need to take care of your sleep specifically. This character is unable to sleep. This character has nightmares. This character wakes up a lot. This character just does not have good sleep. So you need to find a way to get what's called sleep hygiene. I have read that the human body actually needs air or oxygen, water, and then the next thing that it needs most is sleep, and then food. And of course, we need all of those things, but we actually need sleep more than we need food, or more often. Because if you go for a few seconds without air, not good. If you go for even a day without water, not good. You will suffer. But if you go without food for a few days, it's actually something your human body can adjust to. But if you go without sleep for a few days, that can cause severe health problems. Sleep is just as, if not more necessary than food. And I don't think that a lot of people, including myself, take care of our sleep as much as we should. So it's very important to protect your sleep, to make sure that you sleep with a positive mindset. In some of my other readings, I've talked about going to sleep, imagining a best case scenario, imagining what you want in life, imagining how you want to experience your life, and keeping a sleep journal or listening to some kind of meditation before you sleep. Those are all things that you can try. But having good sleep hygiene is very important. How do you get good sleep hygiene? Let's ask that. What do you need to do to get good sleep hygiene? Gratitude. 9 of Pentacles. This is the card of gratitude. I asked, how do you get good sleep hygiene? Well, by being grateful. So what I would suggest to you, write a gratitude journal. Write 5 things every day before you sleep. Write them down in a journal. I would suggest physically writing with a pen and paper. Write down 5 things you are grateful for every single day before you sleep. So write down things you're grateful for. They could be small things or big things. They could be the ability to breathe, the food that you eat, having people in your life or a person in your life who you care about, having animals in your life, friends, companions, pets, whatever blessings you have, whatever good you have, anything at all. Write down 5 things every single night that you're grateful for, that you're thankful for. You can thank God, you can thank the universe, you can thank the people who helped you get to that point. Whatever it is, just be thankful. That's what this card is. This is the way to combat all of these sleep issues, is to be grateful. And I interpret that as writing a gratitude journal every night before you sleep. Keep a little journal by your bed and write down 5 things per night that you can be thankful for. Now, all of this leads back to how you can learn to stabilize yourself and find the strength that is in you. And you need to do that by regulating your sleep, regulating your health, giving up with the idea that wishful thinking and just imagining and dreaming things are going to get you there. Imagination is very important. I am very much a big fan of it. But it's important not to get lost in wishful thinking and not to get lost in consumerism and just hedonism. And to remember to let go of the things that are not working, move away from the things that are not working or the situations that are not working. Take care of your sleep health and find ways to be grateful and express that gratitude by writing a gratitude journal every night. I hope that this has helped you. I'm going to try this myself, actually. And if you are interested in purchasing a Rider-Waite deck, I will leave links for you in the description below. This has been very profound for me, and I am very thankful that you're here to witness this. I am also doing one-on-one readings. If you're interested, leave me a comment and I will get back to you, or you can email me. My email is in the channel's information up here in YouTube. If you would like to support me, there's Patreon and other ways that are in the description, and you can help me out with that. I'd appreciate it. I would like you to come back and watch my other videos. Subscribe, send a thumbs up. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and have a sweet infinity.